Alright, welcome to the video. Today, I'm gonna paint two of the best Pokemon. But before I do, leave a comment below of your 3 favorite Pokemon, and if this video does well enough, I may just paint them. Now, when I say two of the best, you probably think Pikachu and Charizard, but in all honesty, I am not a fan of them. Please don't hate me. Please don't hate me. Although I do like Charmeleon and Raichu, so the best Pokemon is pretty subjective, so I'd probably go with my favorite. And today, my favorite 2 Pokemon are Scyther and Scizor. So, let's start painting. So my friend Will, he did this really cool Beedrill painting in his sketchbook. And when he finished, he challenged me to do a Pokemon painting. And at the moment, I'm between big art pieces, so I thought, why not take up the challenge? Pokemon. What can I say? It's been in my life forever. I was at the very beginning of it all. My brother and I each got every different version of the games. Red, Blue, Gold, Silver, Ruby, Sapphire. And, surprisingly, still to this very day. I remember sitting next to each other playing Pokemon for the first time. How exciting it was, catching all these animal creatures, exploring this massive world and battling your way through. There was really nothing like it at the time. Pretty standard stuff, adding all these light base layers first. With this Scizor, the red, it ended up drying very faded, and I'm not too sure why. I thought I had a lot of pigment, but I had to go over it multiple times, and that was a bit of a pain in the butt. Once the base layers are down, start adding some shadows in, give all the anatomy a bit of depth. Layer by layer, lightest to darkest, it slowly comes together. At the start it looks a bit off because it's just one base colour and you're like, is this actually going to turn out? Because this looks pretty plain, but you just got to trust the process, and by the end it'll be completely different to what you started with. My big Pokemon journey didn't stop at the games. Of course, I collected the cards. So many cards. And I still have a lot of them to this day. I actually picked up a few packs recently just for fun. And I tell you, opening these packs is like the early gacha game. It's way too addictive. But then that led me to download the Pokemon TCG Pocket app. And every 12 hours I get to open a pack. What has happened to me? Funny story. When I was like 8 years old at school, some punk teenagers took a shortcut through our school, and at that stage Pokemon cards were the biggest craze, so everyone carried them around with them. Anyways, these teenagers came up to me and asked to see my cards because they wanted to trade. So, me being the little kid that I was, just willingly gave them my cards to look at, and they simply just walked away with them all, never to be seen again. I was absolutely devastated. So I had all the shinies in the first set except for Charizard at the time, and it took me so long to collect them. But the moral of the story is, don't trust Team Rocket. I mean strangers. Don't trust strangers. So this is the first time I've used acrylic wash before, and I am so amazed by it. It's so much like watercolor, but it's just opaque, and I think it's become a staple in my arsenal now. I want to use it in every painting. I've only really ever used it for highlights with whites. And that wet palette, it keeps the paints wet overnight and I can reuse it. And I don't have to stress about it drying out. My mind is blown. I'm so happy with it. So, one of my favourite Pokemon, Scyther. It's a giant bug dinosaur thing with blades for arms. How could it get any cooler? My brother and I were regular watchers of the Pokemon series, and we get to episode 42, Showdown at Dark City. And it was at that point, we had to pick a side. The episode had two gyms in one town, fighting to be the main one. One had Scyther, and the other one had Electabuzz. And that's when we made our decision. And naturally, as Scyther evolves into Scizor with that shiny metal coat, it becomes my automatic favourite too. He's also a badass though. Classic little Weedle. Were you a Weedle or a Caterpie fan? I think I was a Caterpie fan. Don't get me started on that Pokemon episode where Butterfree. I had to add Weedle in, just a little nod to Will's painting. side note, I debated whether using gold or silver foil for like an hour, and it took me so long to decide that I used gold more, so I was going to throw gold at it and just whatever happens, happens. Turns out, I think gold was the right choice. And that, my friends, brings us to the end of the painting. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this Pokemon painting. It's definitely different than my normal paintings, but I had a lot of fun. I didn't have to think as much and it wasn't stressful. Once again, if you have any questions about painting or Pokemon suggestions, comment below. Also click subscribe if you want, that'd be pretty cool. Wherever you are, whatever time it is, hope you're all having a good day. Till next time, keep creating and thanks for watching.